The star map flickered on the display, showing another colony gone dark. Ambassador Tillix stared at the screen with 4 of his eyes while the other 2 scanned the emergency council chamber. 12 colonies lost in 3 months. The Vrix were coming, and nothing could stop them. "We need reinforcements," High Chancellor Mekris said. The Quellan leader's voice carried defeat. "But there are no more ships. No more soldiers." Tillix knew this already. The Galactic Union had 7 member species and controlled 400 star systems. But the Vrix swarm moved through space like a plague. Their ships regenerated. Their numbers seemed endless. Every battle cost the Union dearly, while the Vrix simply grew stronger by consuming the wreckage. "There must be someone," Tillix said. "Some species we have not contacted." "The database shows nothing," Mekris replied. "We have searched every record." But Tillix kept searching. He went deep into the archives, into files marked as restricted. There, buried under 3 centuries of dust and forgotten warnings, he found something. A probe report from the outer reaches. A world called Earth. A species called humans. The file was marked in red. "Dangerous. Do not contact." Tillix read the report. The probe had found Earth during what humans called a world war. The probe watched as they killed each other by the millions. It recorded weapons that split atoms and burned entire cities. It saw humans fighting in every climate, on every terrain, never stopping. The probe's AI had made a recommendation. Quarantine this species. They are too violent for galactic society. Tillix looked at the current map. At the Vrix, consuming everything. He made a decision. The signal went out 3 days later. A simple message to Earth's coordinates. "Help us. We are dying." Nobody expected an answer. The probe was 300 years old. Earth might be gone. The humans might have destroyed themselves. 2 weeks later, 30 human warships appeared in the Quellan home system. They came out of jump space moving fast. Far faster than any Union vessel. They came broadcasting something on all frequencies. Strange human music that sounded like violence itself. The Union's sensors went crazy trying to process what they were seeing. Admiral Taemin Park commanded the fleet from his flagship, a massive vessel called the UNS Retribution. He was a tall man, with gray hair and cold eyes that had seen too many battles. He stood on his bridge and looked at the readings of the Galactic Union's defenses. "They're using plasma shields," he said to his crew. "Beam weapons. No kinetic armor." He shook his head. "They've never fought a real war." Commander Hyun-Soo Kim stood beside him. She was younger, a former Special Forces officer who now served as humanities liaison. She had studied the limited information they had on galactic species. "I can see that," Park said. "Their formation is defensive. They're waiting to die." He touched the communication panel. "Open a channel to their flagship." The face that appeared on screen made several humans step back. Ambassador Tillix had 6 eyes, tentacles instead of arms, and skin that changed colors with his emotions. Right now it was showing pale gray, which the computer said meant fear. You came," Tillix said in broken human language. The Union had downloaded everything from that old probe, including languages. "You called," Park said simply. "We answered." The briefing lasted 2 hours. Tillix showed them everything. The Vrix swarm. Ships made of living metal and flesh. The hive mind that connected them all. The way they consumed everything, turning matter into more Vrix. The Union's failed attempts to stop them. Park listened without expression. His officers took notes. When Tillix finished, the Admiral leaned back in his chair. "You've been retreating," he said. "Yes," Tillix admitted. "We save what we can. We evacuate. We fall back to stronger positions. That's why you're losing," Park said. "You're letting them choose when and where to fight. But they outnumber us," Mekris interrupted. The High Chancellor had joined the call. 50-1, in most engagements. We cannot win direct confrontation. Park smiled. It was not a kind smile. High Chancellor, humans have been outnumbered in every major war we've ever fought. We're still here. Our enemies are not. What are you proposing? We're going to attack them, Park said. The Union Council chamber erupted in protest. Attack? The Vrix? It was suicide. It was madness. Hyun-Soo watched the alien leaders argue. She had expected this. Humans thought differently. When humanity had fought wars against itself, the losing side had always been the one that stayed defensive. The winners were those who took the initiative, who struck first and hardest. Admiral, she said quietly. Maybe we should explain our methods. Park nodded. Commander Kim will brief your military leaders on human tactics. I suggest you pay attention. We've been fighting for our entire existence. We know how to win. The first briefing was a disaster. Bo-Ra Choi, the chief engineer of the Retribution, showed the Union officers human weapons technology. She started with railguns, magnetically accelerated projectiles that could punch through any armor. The aliens looked confused. But kinetic weapons are banned by galactic law, one officer said. We're not part of your union. Bo-Ra replied cheerfully. So your laws don't apply to us. She showed them nuclear weapons next. Missiles that could destroy entire fleets, bombs that could crack planets. The Union representatives turned colors that indicated horror. These are illegal, Mekris said. They violate every convention of civilized warfare. Hyun-Soo stood up. High Chancellor, with respect, you're losing. Your conventions mean nothing to the Vrix. They don't take prisoners. They don't negotiate. They consume. So we're going to fight them the way humans fight when survival is on the line. We're going to use every weapon, every tactic, every dirty trick we know. Because we fight to win. With Krupin. This is barbaric, Tillich said, quietly. Yes, Park agreed. It is. War is barbaric. But you asked for our help. This is what human help looks like. The Union Council went into emergency session. They debated for hours. Some wanted to send the humans away. Others argued they had no choice. The Vrix were 3 systems away from the core worlds. In 2 months, maybe less, the Union would fall. Finally, Mekris made the decision. We accept your help. But please, try to minimize collateral damage. Park nodded. We'll do our best. But, High Chancellor, understand this. When humans go to war, we don't fight fair. We fight to survive. And we always make sure our enemies remember why they should have left us alone. The human fleet moved out the next day. They headed straight for the front lines, where the Vrix were massing for their next assault. The Union military watched in disbelief. 30 ships against thousands. On the Retribution's bridge, Park looked at his tactical display. He saw the Vrix fleet, saw their numbers, saw their power. He smiled. Let's show them what humans do best, he said. The Joint Command Station Unity's Hope orbited the Quellan homeworld like a small moon. Inside, Union officers tried to work alongside humans and found it harder than fighting the Vrix. Captain Dae-Jung Lee sat in a briefing room, looking at the mission plan the Union had prepared. He was a thin man with quick eyes and quicker hands. He commanded a stealth corvette called Silent Hunter. The Union wanted him to scout enemy positions with 200 support ships. No, he said simply. The Voran tactical officer blinked 3 times in confusion. Captain Lee, you need support. The Vrix have sensor networks, defense platforms, fighter patrols. I know, Dae-Jung said. That's why I'm taking 6 ships instead of 200. Small and fast. In and out before they know we're there. But the danger is part of the job, Dae-Jung finished. He stood up. I'll have your reconnaissance in 3 days. The Union officer wanted to argue more, but Hyun-soo put a hand on his arm. Let him work his way. Trust me. 3 days later, Dae-jung returned. His small fleet had penetrated deep into Vrick's territory, mapped their staging grounds, and destroyed an entire supply depot on the way out. The Union couldn't believe it. How? Tillix asked, staring at the mission report. Dae-jung shrugged. We didn't fight fair. We used nuclear mines disguised as space debris. When their ships got close, boom. Then, we uploaded a virus into their communication network. It made their sensors see phantom threats. While they were confused, we hit their fuel storage with kinetic missiles. He paused. Then, we left, before reinforcements arrived. You used nuclear weapons inside their base? Mikris said. What about the radiation? The contamination? What about it? Dae-jung asked. They're enemies. We're not trying to live there. The Union leaders looked at each other. They were beginning to understand that humans fought differently. Not just tactically, but philosophically. The Union tried to minimize damage. Humans maximized it. Dr. Mi-young-han made things worse during her presentation. She was a xenobiologist, excited to meet alien species. She had studied the Vricks bodies recovered from battles. Her findings disturbed everyone. The Vricks aren't truly a hive mind, she explained, showing scans on the display. They're networked. Each unit has basic intelligence, but they connect together for complex thinking. Like a biological computer network. We know this, a Union scientist said. We have studied them for months. Yes, but you don't see the opportunity, Mi-young said, smiling. If they're networked, we can hack them. Introduce malicious code. Disrupt their coordination. Maybe even take control of individual units. The room went silent. The idea of hacking a living being horrified the Union scientists. It seemed cruel. Inhumane. It's brilliant, Park said from the back of the room. Can you do it? Give me a few weeks and some live specimens, Mi-young replied. I'll need to dissect a few to understand their neural pathways. Several aliens left the room looking ill. Hyun-soo found Tillix later that day. The ambassador stood in an observation deck, looking at his homeworld below. His skin color showed deep blue, which meant sadness. You're wondering if you made a mistake, she said, standing beside him. Yes, Tillix admitted. I called for help. I brought you here. But I did not expect this. You expected diplomats and peacekeepers, Hyun-soo said. You speak of war as if it's normal, Tillix said. You plan destruction like we plan dinner parties. You kill without hesitation. He turned to look at her. Are all humans like this? Hyun-soo was quiet for a moment. Ambassador, Earth is a hard world. Gravity is heavy. Weather is violent. We have predators that can kill us, diseases that can wipe out millions, disasters that destroy cities. We survived because we learned to fight, to adapt, to never give up. She looked at him. To hum, to hum, to hum. Every human child learns that sometimes violence is necessary for survival. We don't like it, but we're very, very good at it. The Vricks will destroy us, Tillix said. But I fear what humans will do to the galaxy after. We're not conquerors, Hyun-soo said. We just want to live. But if someone threatens that, we remove the threat, permanently. The first joint operation happened a week later. Sergeant Haewon Song led a Marine platoon to retake a mining station the Vricks had captured. Union ground forces went with them, eager to see human tactics firsthand. The station was overrun. Vricks warriors filled the corridors, their biomechanical bodies perfect for close combat. The Union forces suggested a siege, cutting off supplies and waiting them out. Haewon had a different idea. We're going in, fast and violent. Her Marines wore powered armor that made them stronger and faster. They carried automatic weapons that fired explosive rounds. They moved through the station like a storm, room by room, killing everything that moved. The Union soldiers watched in shock. Humans fought with no fear. When Vrix warriors attacked, the Marines didn't retreat. They charged forward, using grenades, flamethrowers, and sometimes just their armored fists. HFY herself killed 3 Vrix in hand-to-hand combat, her armor giving her the strength to tear through their metal flesh. The station was cleared in 2 hours. The Union forces had expected a 3-day battle, at minimum. How? The Union commander asked HFY afterward. How do you move so fast? Fight so hard? 2. HFY removed her helmet. She was a young woman with a scar across her cheek and tired eyes. Sir, humans evolved on a heavy gravity world. We're stronger than most species. We evolved as hunters. We're faster, more aggressive, and we've been training for war since we could walk. She paused. Plus, we really don't like bugs, and the Vrix look like bugs. Back at Unity's Hope, the Union Military Command held an emergency meeting. They reviewed combat footage from multiple engagements. Human ships moving at impossible speeds. Human soldiers fighting with terrifying efficiency. Human weapons that violated every rule of civilized warfare. They're winning, Mekris said, sounding surprised. In every engagement, humans are pushing the Vrix back. At what cost? Another council member asked. They destroy everything, leave nothing standing, show no mercy. The Vrix show no mercy either, Park said, entering the meeting uninvited. That's why you're losing and we're winning. You fight like this is a game with rules. We fight like our survival depends on it. Because it does. You are too violent, Mekris said. Too destructive. Yes, Park agreed. We are. But we're also alive. And when this war is over, you will be too. That's what matters. Later that night, Specialist Unha Lim made a discovery. She was a communications officer, monitoring Vrix transmissions. She noticed something strange. When human ships got close, the Vrix network showed increased activity. They were trying to understand the humans, trying to predict their behavior. She had an idea. A crazy idea. She took it to Bo-Ra Choi, the engineer. Can we broadcast something into their network? Something that would confuse them? Bo-Ra grinned. What did you have in mind? Human music, Unha said. Specifically, the loudest, most chaotic music we have. They tested it on a small Vrix patrol. Bo-Ra hacked into their communication node and played death metal at maximum volume directly into their network. The results were immediate. The Vrix ships stopped coordinating. They flew erratically. Some crashed into each other. It works, Unha said, amazed. The chaotic patterns disrupt their network synchronization. We just weaponized rock music, Bo-Ra said, laughing. When they reported this to Park, he authorized its use in the next major battle. The Union Council protested. Using sound as a weapon seemed wrong somehow. Park's response was simple. If it kills Vrix and saves lives, we're using it. Tillix watched all of this from the observation deck. He saw humans winning battles, saw them pushing the Vrix back, saw them doing the impossible, but he also saw the destruction, the wreckage, the ruthless efficiency of human warfare. He sent a classified message to Mekris. We called them for help. They are helping, but I fear we have unleashed something we don't understand. The Vrix consume worlds. Humans destroy them. Which is worse? Mekris didn't answer. He didn't know. Operation Havoc began at dawn across 7 star systems simultaneously. The Union Military Command watched their displays in disbelief, as human forces split up and attacked in 23 different locations at once. This is madness, a Quellan admiral said. They're dividing their forces. The Vrix will crush them, but Hyunsu knew better. She had studied the Vrix network. They can't process multiple threats at once. Their hive mind has to focus. Give it too many problems, and it freezes trying to solve them all. The Vrix did exactly that. Their fleets tried to respond to every human attack, splitting their forces thinner and thinner. Meanwhile, human commanders like Dae Jung exploited every opening, hitting supply lines, communication hubs, and staging areas. The Union wanted humanity to consolidate, to mass their forces for a single, decisive battle. Admiral Park refused every request. "We're not here to fight fair," he told Mekris during a heated argument. "We're here to win. And we win by keeping the enemy confused, scared, and unable to predict our next move." Colonel Young Chul Kwan proved this point on Ferris Prime. The colony world had fallen to the Vrix 3 weeks earlier. Union intelligence said it was too heavily defended to retake. They recommended bypassing it. Young Chul disagreed. He took 5,000 Marines and landed on Ferris Prime anyway. The Vrix outnumbered him 30-1. They had fortified positions, orbital support, and home ground advantage. By every military calculation, Young Chul's force should have been wiped out in hours. Instead, he turned the planet into a weapon. Ferris Prime was a mining world with extensive underground tunnels and unstable geology. Young Chul used this. He collapsed tunnels on top of Vrik's positions. He redirected toxic gas vents into their strongholds. He triggered small seismic charges that destabilized entire regions. And when the Vrix adapted, he adapted faster. The Union monitoring the battle couldn't believe what they were seeing. Young Chul fought in conditions that should have killed humans. Underground in toxic atmospheres. In zero-gravity mining shafts. His Marines wore sealed suits and kept fighting while the Vrix struggled with the changing environment. "How are they surviving this?" Tillix asked, watching a Marine squad fighting in a sulfur cloud that should have melted their equipment. "Human engineering," Hyun-Soo explained. "We build things tough because Earth is tough. Our equipment works in any environment because we evolved in every environment." But the real horror came when Young Chul authorized chemical weapons. The Vrix had biological components. Certain chemicals disrupted their systems. Young Chul didn't hesitate. He deployed them across the entire battlefield. The Union Council erupted in protest. "This is a war crime. Chemical weapons are banned." Park's response was cold. "By your laws, not ours. And it's saving lives. My soldiers' lives. That's what matters to me." In space, pilot Soojin Park was making her own reputation. She flew an experimental fighter called Reaper, designed to push human reflexes to their absolute limit. Her squadron engaged Vrix bioships in the Calyx Nebula, where sensors were unreliable and navigation was nearly impossible. The Vrix bioships were massive, organic vessels that could regenerate damage. They should have crushed Soojin's small fighters easily. But Soojin could withstand 12G maneuvers. The bioships could only handle 4. She flew through the nebula like she was born in it, using the radiation as cover, pulling turns that would have killed most pilots, and striking at the bioship's weak points with surgical precision. Her wingman, a pilot named Taeyang, followed her through a maneuver that bent their fighters almost in half. The Vrix ships tried to follow, and tore themselves apart from the stress. "Reaper to command," Soojin said calmly, dodging return fire. Target destroyed. Moving to next location, she had destroyed 6 capital ships in one engagement. The Union lost 0 fighters. On the bridge of the Retribution, Bora Choi was having the time of her life. She had hacked into a Vrix communication network and was now playing what she called her confusion playlist directly into their neural network. The playlist included death metal, heavy bass, electronic music, and something ancient called dubstep. The chaotic sound patterns caused cascade failures in Vrik's coordination across 3 entire fleets. "This is beautiful," she said, watching enemy ships collide as their networked minds collapsed under the sensory overload. "We're literally defeating them with noise." Park stood beside her, arms crossed. "How long will this work?" "Until they adapt," Bora admitted. "Maybe a week. Maybe a month. Depends on how fast they learn." Then we use it while we can, Park decided. Broadcast to all human ships. They are authorized to use sonic weapons against Vryx networks. The Union tried to understand. You accidentally made your entertainment into a weapon? A council member asked. We accidentally make everything into a weapon, Hyun-soo said. It's a human talent, but not everyone was celebrating. Ambassador Tillix had watched hours of combat footage. He saw humans fighting with efficiency that bordered on mechanical. No hesitation. No mercy. Just cold, calculated violence. He found Hyun-soo in the mess hall, eating something humans called instant noodles. Commander, he said quietly. May I speak with you? Of course, Ambassador. Sit. Tillix's tentacles curled with anxiety. I need to understand. Are all humans like this? So calm about violence? So good at destruction? Hyun-soo put down her chopsticks. Ambassador, I'll be honest with you. Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We fought each other over food, territory, ideology, religion, resources. We got very good at killing, but we also got very good at surviving. She paused. Most humans hate war. We just happen to be excellent at it when we have to be. The Vryx are monsters, Tillix said. But watching humans fight them, sometimes I wonder who the real monsters are. That's a fair question, Hyun-soo admitted. Here's the difference. The Vryx consume everything. They can't stop. It's their nature. Humans can stop. We choose violence when necessary. And we choose peace when possible. That choice is what makes us different. On Ferris Prime, Young Chul's forces finally broke the Vryx defensive line. The cost was high. 2,000 Marines dead or wounded. But the Vryx lost 30,000 warriors, and the colony was retaken. Young Chul stood in the ruins of the main settlement. Buildings were collapsed. The ground was scarred with craters. Chemical residue stained everything. A Union observer approached him carefully. Colonel Kwan, your victory is impressive. But the damage can be repaired, Young Chul interrupted. Dead people can't. I saved this colony. The buildings don't matter. You used methods that we consider extreme. Young Chul turned to face the alien. He was a hard man, made harder by years of combat. I used methods that work. You want to judge me? Fine. But judge me after the war. When you're alive because of what we did here. The truth was spreading through the Union. Humans were winning because they fought without the restraints of civilized warfare. They used every advantage, exploited every weakness, and never stopped pushing forward. Some Union species were grateful. Others were terrified. Mekris called an emergency council session. We need to discuss what happens after the war. When the Vryx are defeated. You're worried about us, Park said. He had been invited to the session. You're wondering if humans will turn on you next. The silence confirmed it. Park smiled without humor. High Chancellor, let me make something clear. Humans don't want your territory. We don't want to rule you. We don't even particularly want to be here. You called us, we answered. When the job is done, we'll go home. He paused. But if you ever threaten us, if you ever attack Earth, you'll discover that what we did to the Vryx was us being restrained. Restrained? Mekris said. You call this restrained? Yes, Park said simply. We haven't used planet killers. We haven't deployed our worst weapons. We're fighting to protect you, not destroy you. But make no mistake, we could turn this entire sector into radioactive dust if we wanted to. We choose not to. Remember that. The council session ended in uncomfortable silence. Specialist Unha made another discovery that week. She intercepted a Vryx command transmission. The hive mind was adapting, learning to counter human tactics. They were preparing a massive counterattack. She brought the intelligence to Park immediately. Sir, they're massing forces. They're going to hit us with everything they have. Park studied the data. Thousands of Reich ships, millions of warriors, all converging on human positions. Good, he said. Good? Eunha asked, confused. They're bringing the fight to us, Park explained. That means we know where they'll be. We can prepare. Set a trap. He looked at his tactical team. Get me every ship we have. It's time to end this. The message went out to all human forces. Return to staging areas. Prepare for the largest engagement of the war. The Union watched humans consolidate their scattered forces and wondered what they had planned. They wouldn't have to wait long to find out. The second human fleet arrived without warning, dropping out of jump space like a hammer. Fleet Admiral Song Ho-yoon commanded from his flagship, Inevitable, a dreadnought twice the size of anything the Union had ever built. Park met him in the conference room. The two admirals shook hands in the human way. Then Sang-ho smiled. I brought presents, he said. The presents included 50 more warships, including vessels the Union had never seen before. Planet crackers, capable of shattering worlds. Dreadnoughts with enough firepower to destroy entire fleets. And something classified as Project Wildfire that made everyone nervous. Admiral Park, what is Project Wildfire? Mekris demanded, during the briefing. Insurance, Sang-ho replied. We hope we won't need it. But if we do, it will end this war permanently. That is not an answer. It's the only answer you're getting, Sang-ho said flatly. This is human military technology. It's classified. You'll see it when we use it. If we use it, the Union Council argued, but they had no leverage. Lieutenant Sumin Baek changed everything 3 days later. She was an intelligence officer, small and quiet, with a talent for understanding enemies. She volunteered for a suicide mission. Infiltrate a Vrix hive ship. She wore a stealth suit that masked her biosignature and slipped aboard during a supply run. For 2 days, she hid in the organic corridors of the ship, watching and recording. What she discovered shocked everyone. The Vrix weren't conquerors. They were refugees. Sumin found their communication archives. She decoded them with the help of human AI. The story was tragic. The Vrix came from another dimension, where physics worked differently. Something had collapsed their reality. They escaped to this universe. But they needed matter to survive. Massive amounts of matter. So they consumed planets, ships, stations, anything to feed their desperate hunger. It wasn't cruelty. It was survival. She reported this to Park and Sang-ho. The two admirals listened in silence. Does this change anything? Park asked. Sumin hesitated. Sir, they're not evil. They're just trying to live. So are the species they're consuming, Sang-ho said. So are we. Their desperation doesn't give them the right to commit genocide. But sir, no buts, Lieutenant, Park said, but his voice was gentle. You did good work. This intelligence is valuable. But it doesn't change our mission. The Vrix are still killing billions. They still need to be stopped. Sumin understood. She didn't like it. But she understood. Sometimes, there were no good choices. Only necessary ones. Dr. Jin-Woo Ro presented Project Wildfire to the command staff the next day. He was a thin man, with wild hair, and the eyes of someone who had created something terrible. Project Wildfire is a nanovirus, he explained, showing molecular diagrams. It's designed specifically for the Vrix biological structure. It won't harm any other known species. What does it do? Kyun-soo asked. It severs their connection to the hive network, Jin-Woo said. Each Vrix becomes an individual. Confused. Isolated. Unable to coordinate with others. The room went quiet. The implications were staggering. You created a weapon that attacks their consciousness, Tillich said, his skin turning pale gray. This is horrific. It's effective, Sang-ho corrected. And it's better than extinction. Ours or theirs. We will not authorize this, Mekris said firmly. It is too cruel. You don't get to authorize it, Park said. This is a human weapon. We decide when and how to use it. But we're giving you advance notice, out of courtesy. The Union Council erupted in protests. But there was nothing they could do. The humans were independent. They fought their own way. The assault on the Vrix core clusters began 1 week later. 5 star systems containing the primary hive nodes. The heart of the Vrix network. Intelligence said these systems were impregnable. Humans decided to test that. The battle started with Young Chul's ground forces dropping on the first core world. Tens of thousands of Marines in drop pods, falling through orbital defenses like rain. The Vrix were waiting. The fighting was immediate and brutal. In space, Su-Jin led fighter wings against Vrix bioships 10 times their size. She had upgraded to a new fighter with experimental weapons. She dove through enemy formations. Her reflexes enhanced by neural implants, pulling maneuvers that made her vision go black at the edges. Reaper to all wings, she broadcast. Pattern Alpha. Hit them fast, and get out. The fighters scattered, each one targeting critical points on the massive bioships, engines, weapons, command nodes. They struck and vanished before the Vrix could respond. On the ground, Young Chul's forces encountered something new. Vrix command units, larger and smarter than regular warriors. These units could think independently, adapting to human tactics. The battle became vicious. Marines died in dozens, then hundreds. But they pushed forward, using every trick they knew. Flamethrowers, explosives, in some cases, just brute force and determination. Young Chul fought alongside his troops, his powered armor covered in Vrix blood. He grabbed a wounded Marine and pulled her to cover, just as a Vrix warrior's blade cut where she had been. Stay down, he ordered. Then he turned and shot the Vrix warrior 3 times, blowing holes through its armored body. The Marine looked at him with wide eyes. Sir, we're outnumbered. We're always outnumbered, Young Chul said. We win anyway. That's what humans do. In orbit, Bo-Ra Choi was attempting something insane even by human standards. She had identified a Vrix Titangent-class bioship, the size of a small moon. It was coordinating the entire defensive fleet. I'm going to steal it, she announced. Park stared at her. You're going to what? Steal it. Bo-Ra repeated. Hack into its systems. Take control, and crash it into the second core cluster. The chain reaction will destroy 2 systems at once. That's impossible. Probably, Bo-Ra agreed cheerfully. But I'm going to try anyway. She took a small team of engineers and infiltrated the Titangent ship. The operation took 6 hours. 6 hours of running through organic corridors, fighting past automated defenses, and uploading human code into alien biological computers. It shouldn't have worked. But Bo-Ra was brilliant and crazy in equal measure. She found the Titan's control center and plugged her systems directly into its neural core. Come on, she whispered, watching her screens. Accept the code. Accept it. The Titan shuddered. Its systems flickered. Then, slowly, Bo-Ra gained control. I've got it, she shouted. I actually have control. She programmed new coordinates into the Titan's navigation system. Then, she and her team evacuated, racing to their shuttle as the massive bioship began to move. The Vrix tried to stop it. Fighter swarms attacked. Beam weapons fired. But the Titan was already accelerating, moving faster and faster toward the second core cluster. It crashed into the cluster's central star, its massive bulk disrupting the star's fusion reaction. The explosion was visible from 3 systems away. When the light faded, 2 core systems were gone. The Union Council watched in horror. You destroyed 2 entire star systems, Mekris said, his voice shaking. We destroyed 2 Vrix strongholds, Sang-Ho corrected. The Vrix attempted their own desperate gambit. Intelligence intercepted a massive swarm heading toward human space, toward Earth itself. Millions of ships in a suicide, run to destroy humanity's homeworld. Captain Daejung volunteered immediately. I'll intercept them. With what? Park asked. That fleet would overwhelm anything we send. A fleet. Fleet would overwhelm anything we send. Daejung smiled. Not if I take them all out at once. He explained his plan. It was suicide. Pure suicide. He would load his ship, the Silent Hunter, with every antimatter warhead they had. He would jump into the middle of the swarm, and he would detonate everything. You'll die, Hyun-soo said quietly. Probably, Daejung agreed. But Earth will be safe. My family will be safe. That's enough. Park wanted to refuse, to find another way, but there was no time. The swarm was moving fast. Do it, he finally said. And, Captain, thank you. Daejung took the Silent Hunter and jumped to intercept the swarm. He emerged in the middle of millions of Rick's ships. His sensors went crazy trying to track them all. This is Captain Lee. He broadcast on all human frequencies. To anyone listening, tell Earth that I bought them time. Tell my family I love them. He paused. And tell the Vricks that humans don't run. We fight. Always. He triggered the antimatter warheads. The explosion tore a hole in space itself. The chain reaction consumed the entire swarm. Millions of Vricks ships died in an instant. When it was over, debris floated in a cloud, stretching across light seconds. In the center, badly damaged, but intact, was the Silent Hunter's reinforced core section. This is Lee. A weak voice came over the radio. Core crew survived. We're floating in wreckage. Someone want to pick us up? 2. The rescue teams arrived hours later. They found Daejung and his essential crew alive in the armored core, battered, but breathing. Park visited him in the medical bay. You're either the luckiest man alive, or the craziest. Both, Daejung said, smiling despite his injuries. Definitely both. The Vricks were broken. Their core systems destroyed, their fleets scattered, their final gambit failed. Now humanity prepared to deliver the finishing blow. 6 months after the Vricks collapse, as historians would later call it, the galaxy was quiet. Too quiet for some. Dr. Mi Young-han worked in a research facility on the edge of Union space. Around her, in special containment units, were Vricks individuals severed from the Hive network by Project Wildfire. Some were adapting, learning to think independently, becoming people instead of parts of a whole. Others were not adapting. Their minds couldn't handle isolation. They simply stopped functioning, their bodies shutting down without the network to guide them. This one is learning language, Mi Young told her assistant, pointing to a Vricks that had started making distinct sounds. Yesterday, it asked for food. Actually asked, not just responded to stimuli. Is that good? The assistant asked, a young Union scientist named Velix. It's progress, Mi Young said. They're not monsters. They're victims. Of their own biology, of circumstance. We're trying to give them a chance to be something more. Not everyone agreed with this approach. There were protests across Union worlds. People wanted the Vricks exterminated completely. They remembered the colonies consumed, the billions killed. But humans pushed for rehabilitation. It confused the Union. You fought them so ruthlessly, Tillix said to Hyun-soo one day. You showed no mercy in battle. Why show mercy now? Because the battle is over, Hyun-soo explained. During war, we fight to win. After war, we try to build peace. That's the human way. We can be monsters when we need to be. But we don't want to be monsters forever. The Galactic Union formally offered humanity full membership, a council seat, authority over multiple systems, equal voice in galactic affairs. Admiral Park declined politely. He met with the full council in person to explain. We appreciate the offer, he said. But humanity needs to remain independent. We work better as allies than members. We can help when you need us, without the politics of membership getting in the way. You don't want the responsibility, Mekris said. We don't want to be tied down by your laws, Park corrected. You've seen how we fight, how we operate. Your conventions and rules would restrict us, and the next time something like the Vrix appears, you'll want us unrestricted. The council understood. It made them nervous, but they understood. Hyun-Soo Kim retired from military service. She took a position as a civilian consultant, writing a book about human military philosophy. She called it How Humans Wage Peace. The book became required reading in Union military academies. In it, she explained that humans were violent not because they enjoyed it, but because they feared extinction. Earth had taught them that survival required strength, adaptability, and the willingness to do whatever was necessary. Humans fight so hard because we want the fighting to end, she wrote. We are not warmongers. We are survivors who have learned that sometimes violence is the only path to peace. Bo-Ra Choi received the Union's highest civilian honor for her engineering achievements during the war. She attended the ceremony and gave a speech that horrified half the audience and made the other half laugh. I learned that sometimes the best solution is the craziest solution, she said. Humans don't follow the rules because the rules were written by people who never had to fight for their lives every day. She was later banned from 3 Union systems for unauthorized improvements to their infrastructure. She had tried to upgrade their defensive systems and accidentally made them too powerful, violating safety regulations. She considered the ban a badge of honor. Captain Dae-Jung Lee recovered from his injuries. They offered him promotion to admiral. He refused. I'm a captain, he told Park. That's what I'm good at. Put me in charge of a fleet. I'll probably crash it into something. He paused. Besides, someone needs to teach these Union folks how to fight properly. They're too nice. It'll get them killed. He started a training program, teaching Union military officers human tactics. His methods were controversial. He made students operate in high-stress environments, made them make impossible choices, made them learn that sometimes survival meant doing things they hated, but his graduates became the Union's best commanders. They learned that war wasn't about rules or honor. It was about winning, so your people could live. Ambassador Tillix wrote a classified report to the Union Council. It was later leaked and became one of the most discussed documents in galactic history. We called humans for help, he wrote. They came with fire and fury. They brought havoc to our enemies and terror to our hearts. The Vrix are gone. 12 worlds are in ruins. Billions are dead. And we are alive. I don't know if we should thank them or fear them. Perhaps we should do both. Humans are not evil, but they are dangerous in a way we can barely comprehend. They live on a world that tries to kill them constantly. They evolved as predators and prey simultaneously. They learned to fight or die. Now they are our allies, and I pray to every deity known to galactic civilization that they never become our enemies, because what they did to the Vrix was them showing restraint. They told us this. I believe them. The humans will go home soon, back to their violent world with its heavy gravity and dangerous weather. We will celebrate, we will rebuild, and we will remember that somewhere in the galaxy, there is a species that defines the very concept of overkill. We asked for help, we got havoc, and it saved us. On Earth, humanity returned to its normal life. The war was already becoming history. Stories were told. Memorials built for the fallen. Life continued. Most humans never realized how much they had terrified the galaxy. They had just done what needed doing. Fought when called. Won because losing wasn't an option. 3 years after the Vrix War ended, a Union patrol in deep space detected something. A new threat. Something worse than the Vrix. Something that made the Vrix look harmless by comparison. The patrol captain stared at the readings, at the massive vessels appearing on sensors, at energy signatures that didn't match anything in Union databases. His hand hovered over the communication panel. He knew what he had to do, but he hesitated. "Sir?" his tactical officer asked. "Should we report to Union Command?" The captain looked at Earth's coordinates in the navigation system. He thought about the humans, about their violence, their ruthlessness, their terrifying efficiency. He also thought about being alive, about his family on the homeworld, about his people surviving. He entered Earth's coordinates and prepared a distress signal. "Are you sure?" the tactical officer asked quietly. "The humans. They're not like us. They're dangerous." "I know," the captain said. "But so is that." He pointed at the alien ships on the screen. "At least the humans fight for something. They fight so everyone can live in peace when it's over. These new things." He trailed off, studying the readings. "I don't think they care about anything except destruction." He sent the message. A simple distress call to Earth. Just like Tillix had sent 3 years ago, the response came faster than before. Humans had been improving their ships, making them faster, preparing for the next threat. Admiral Park's reply was brief. "Received your distress call. Fleet is jumping now. ETA 6 days. Hold position if possible. If not possible, evacuate, and we'll handle it." The patrol captain felt relief and terror in equal measure. The humans were coming. They would bring their weapons, their tactics, their complete disregard for civilized warfare. They would bring havoc, but they would also bring hope. On Earth, in his office, Admiral Park looked at the star charts, at the new threat appearing on the edge of Union space. He called his senior staff. "Another one," he said simply. "Get me Commander Kim. Tell her retirement is over. We need someone who speaks diplomacy." Hyun-Soo Kim, now a civilian, received the message at her home. She looked at her book on the shelf, at the peaceful life she had built. Then, she looked at the message again. She smiled, packed a bag, called her old team. "Here we go again," she said, because that's what humans did. When called, they answered. When threatened, they fought. When necessary, they became the monsters that scared away other monsters. They brought havoc. But they also brought hope, and in a dangerous galaxy, sometimes hope wore armor and carried very large guns. The patrol captain watched as human ships began appearing on his sensors. Dozens of them, then hundreds, all moving toward the new threat with terrifying speed. He sent a message to Union Command. "The humans have arrived. May whatever gods exist have mercy on that enemy. Because the humans certainly won't." In the conference room of the UNS Retribution, Park briefed his commanders on the new threat. They listened. They asked questions. They planned. And when the briefing was over, when everyone understood what they faced, Park gave his final order. "We do what we always do. We fight. We adapt. We win. Because that's what humanity does best. We survive. And we make sure everyone who asks for our help survives too. Even if we have to bring havoc to do it." The fleet moved forward, toward another impossible fight, toward another enemy that thought it was unstoppable. The enemy would learn. Just like the Vrix learned, you don't pick a fight with Earth. Because Earth picks back. Harder. And humans never, ever stop fighting until the job is done.